I hate car trends. Just the fact that a trend exists means that many car companies are following it, which in turn means that they all end up making the same car with the same tech and the same shape. Like, look at this. It's a sea of same. So can we have a round of applause for those who couldn't care less? Hey guys, Stipe here with a list of cars that don't follow any trends. Think different, my dudes. Think different. Toyota Century. Let's kick it off with one of the most luxurious cars on sale today, the Toyota Century. Not Lexus, Toyota. The same company that makes regular cars for regular people also makes the cars for the Japanese royal family, and now you can buy one too. Well, if you live in Japan, you can. Toyota doesn't sell their magnum opus outside of their homeland, and for one simple reason, others just wouldn't understand it. For starters, the Century is not decadent. There's no flashy and pretentious display of luxury as you'll find in Western cars. Like, check out this blinged out Bentley. It's borderline ghastly. Instead, the handmade body of this Toyota is as subdued and as classic as it can be. It's a tuxedo, not an Elvis costume. And the same is true on the inside. Sure, you can get the leather seats, which are still nowhere near as ostentatious as the ones in the Bentley, but most people don't, and instead they go for the nicest wool ever fitted in a car. It's softer, more breathable, doesn't make fart noises when you wiggle in them. Plus, it comes with a crocheted set of covers that makes every Eastern European babushka drool.
That shit's fire!
Want some unique color? Too bad, because these are the only options. Latest tech? Again, no. Century uses only the technology that's been proven to work even after decades of use. Why? Because nothing in this car is allowed to break down. Otherwise, this would happen. Basically, you get what you get. And if you don't like it, well, I guess you just don't get it. Mitsubishi Orochi. Still on the topic of Japan, which I'm sure you know has two different sides. One is very traditional and conservative, like that Century, while the other is just the weirdest shit you've ever seen.
In England, you don't have penis festivals?
Not as far as I'm aware.
And representing that side is one very, let's say, different looking supercar. Ready? That hurts my eyes. Anyway, here's the thing with supercars. They are purposefully, intentionally designed to arouse our most primal emotions, most primal instincts, if you will. Fear, the instinct to survive, and horny, the instinct to pass on your genes. That's why all supercars are full of either fertile, curvy lines or sharp, aggressive ones. Anything between is also acceptable. But looking at the Orochi, what's this all about? I spent good 30 minutes staring at it, scraping my eyes against this travesty on wheels, and I do have some theories. At first, less likely one is that they made the clay model out of butter and then left it out in the sun. When they came back, the car was all melting and drooping. Just look at every single line here. Each one is sagging like a heavy old boob. And the second theory, it's still kinda deep-sea monstrous looking, which is frightening. So there is that. And if you're into the tentacle erotica, like many guys and girls in Japan are, well, hot damn, if this isn't the car that will tickle your primal instincts. Also, guess what they call the convertible version? The nude top. Oh, Mitsuoka, do you always have to be so different? TBR Cigaris. Cars have personalities, and if I had to match one to the TBR Cigaris, it would be one of the slasher horror movie villain. Think Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, Cigaris. Just check out that murderous look in its headlights, the countless axe wounds all over the front, and the spoiler struts that look like they came off some torture machine. It's a mentally unstable killer, and given that this is a TBR, it behaves like one too. The TBR philosophy has always been no safety electronics. You will start to rely on traction control and ABS too much, become overconfident, and then when you do go too far, well, let's just say that the dildo of consequences rarely comes lubed up. Instead, the Cigaris will teach you right from start just how much throttle is too much throttle. I should also mention that there are no airbags either. In a 400 horsepower car that's the same age and weight as this Miata. But the axe murderer's temper isn't the only thing that sets the Cigaris or any other TVR apart. Go find me the door handle. It's this little pimple button right here. Do you know how to start it? Neither do any of these people. And what to think of these side-firing, flame-spitting exhausts? I've seen side pipes placed in front of a rear wheel, but here? Why? Who does that? TVR does it, and you have to love them for it. Large Citrons. But how about a whole nation that does things differently? The French. They eat snails, they say 99 in the weirdest possible way, and they make a very special, very weird class of cars, also known as the large Citrons. Take this DS as an example. You can drive around with one wheel entirely missing thanks to its unique hydropneumatic suspension. It simply self-levels the car. It can also lower or raise it and float over the bumps like they're not even there. The hydropneumatic is so comfortable that Rolls-Royce begged Citron to sell them the rights. The steering wheel here was also reinvented. And how about that brake pedal? This, the mushroom-shaped looking button, is what operates the brakes. It's a switch, either on or off. No half braking with it. Then came the SM. The front number plates were placed inside of the headlights cover, which means that the badge is, here. Radio? Between the seats and pointing up. Kinda hard to read the buttons when you're the passenger seat. The Citron craziness continues with the CX. Want headlights and wiper stalks? Here's some buttons around the gauge cluster. Also, a gun trigger that opens the doors and a spare tire that's tucked behind an engine. Good luck getting it out without burning your hands.
Silence.
And lastly, the C6. Putting the rear glass the right way up is for the normies. That's all I'm gonna say. Never change, Citron. Never change. GMA T50. Hypercars these days are mostly all the same. Big hybrid or turbo power, fast-shifting automatics, and record-breaking performances. Impressive. So why is a car with none of those stealing all the limelight then? It's the GMA T50, the brainchild of a former F1 designer, as well as the father of the legendary McLaren F1. Well, that one is obvious when you look at them from the front. From the rear, however, this car is unlike any other. For starters, it's got a huge fan that sucks the air from the bottom or the top and drastically changes its aerodynamic profile without resorting to huge deployable wings. Right behind it is a rather small, naturally aspirated 3.9-liter V12, making some 650 or so horsepower. That's enough for a 0 to 60 in around 3 seconds, and a top speed of some high number. I imagine it's not really important. What is important is the way it responds to your inputs. Flip the throttle and it will rev faster and higher than any car ever produced. 0.3 seconds from idle to 12,000 RPM.
It's over 9,000!
Plus the whole car weighs less than a Miata. Has the most satisfying clickety-clackety manual shifter. The driver's seat is in the middle, and the noises it makes? Oh! It's the best driver's car ever made, bar none. Which is sad because all the others aren't even trying. Morgan Cars. Another car company that doesn't seem to be trying is a little British manufacturer called Morgan. Just look at their latest 2023 Plus 6 model. Apart from some modern gizmos and having to source a current BMW engine that is compliant with the latest emissions regulations, this thing looks like it's from the 1930s. Actually, it's more than just looks. The Plus 6 is built like a 1930s car too, by hand and out of wood. Not to please Greta or something, but because Morgan really doesn't like to change. That's how they used to do it, and that's what they will continue to do, probably forever. Keep your modern alloys, your aerodynamics, and safety constructions. We make cars as if the world is still in black and white. I mean, they tried. Like when they made this slick-looking concept car and later even an EV. But instead of producing those, they just went back to making the 4.4 again. That, by the way, was the longest-running production car ever, going all the way from 1936 to 2019. And sure, over its 83 years of long life, it did get some updates, like a wider track, safer brakes, and whatever engines they could get their hands on, but essentially, it was the same thing even in 2019. It was also the only way for your grandfather to get wood. That, by the way, was an erection joke. Anyway, the honorable mentions. Let's see if you can guess them. Dodge Challenger. And at number 1, it's the one and only true muscle car left in existence, the Challenger. When it came out some 15 years ago, you could say it had some competition in the likes of the Mustang and Camaro, but since then, those two really started taking corners seriously, even came out with some track-focused versions, whereas at Dodge, they couldn't care less about any of that. The only track they cared about was the drag strip, and you know what that means. Big and powerful engines. But there was a problem. Even the top dog SRT8 model was falling short next to a Corvette-powered Camaro and a Shelby-tuned Mustang, until this happened. The Hellcat, with the earth-shattering 707 horses. This, by the way, was already at a time when the whole world was talking about downsizing and electrification. But at Dodge, they were only thinking about how to make this most powerful muscle car of all time even faster. Enter the limited edition Challenger Demon, an 840 horsepower monster which, in its drag setup, can pull off a wheelie. First production car ever to do that, and yes, it was road legal too. Well, barely. But Dodge wasn't done just yet. The Hellcat Red-Eye brought in some Demon tech and more power. Red-Eye Jailbreak found a way to squeeze more power still, and the Super Stock, with its further enhancements, nearly closed the gap behind the big old dragster. There were wide-body kits, drag packs, and even a manual shifter made a return. However, the writing was already on the wall. Electricity was the way forward, and Dodge was reluctantly preparing to make the switch too. But not before they give the old dinosaur one last swing in the form of this, the Demon 170. Over 1,000 horses, 2 Gs of acceleration, 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds, and a quarter mile in 8.91. That is so fast that the NHRA disqualified its time, since your car must have a parachute when going under 9. And how much for all this performance? $500,000? Maybe 2? Nope, just $96,666. Goodbye, Challenger. You've been the best muscle car ever. And cut.